Mm, mm, mm. I can't believe that just really happened. Stir. Put that, hide that away. All right, what's going on, y'all? Hope you guys had a great New Year, had a great holidays. You guys got everything you ever wanted for Christmas. Santa just blessed you. Unfortunately, he didn't bless us all with ending COVID yet, but beggars can't be choosers. So in today's video, we're talking about what's in my camera bag. So just to go ahead and get it started, we're going to talk about the camera bag itself. This, almost got caught on it. This is the Go Groove camera bag. I got this, I'd say probably about 7-8 months ago. I got tired of using just my normal camera bag. It was really just a book bag that I had my camera satchel bag in, which had my camera in it, and whatever other accessories I had at the time. Needless to say, let's go ahead and move on to what's actually in the bag itself, or what's typically in the bag. So for my first item, I actually have my MacBook Pro, my 2019. Let me make sure it's shiny, showing off. Ooh, bam, bam, bam. That's usually the main thing that's in the big slide part. What is it? The laptop sleeve. That's what it is. We're good. So that's usually in my laptop sleeve. I'm somewhere stationary. I'm at like a base setup area. Typically, I'll actually take that out and not keep that in there, and I'll put my Zhiyun Weebill S gimbal in there instead. It really just depends. Typically, what I'll do if I don't have the Zhiyun in the laptop sleeve is I'll have my MacBook in the sleeve and I'll be carrying the Zhiyun with me. It's interchangeable, but those two are usually both are the main things that I carry in the bag. Onto my cameras, I actually have 4 cameras. And so of those 4 cameras, the first one I'm going to talk about is my Sony ZV-1, which I'm recording on right now. That's my main vlog camera. It does really good with its video recording on top of the photos it takes. The thumbnail for this was actually shot on this camera. Onto my very first camera that I got though, the thing that started it all was actually my GoPro Hero 7. A lot of my friends went on spring break and they would take GoPros with them, and I didn't really know why until I watched the videos that GoPros could do, and I just was like so fascinated in them, and I told myself like, ooh, I want to get a GoPro, and I got it, and I didn't really use it as much, and so I actually ended up upgrading that a few months later and got, which was my first actual camera, my Sony a6100. This bad boy. It's a 24 megapixel APS-C crop sensor camera. I learned so much with this, and I don't want to look at this like it's my child, but this was my baby. Just having this thing, let me tell you, it taught me a lot. I was stuck between this and the Canon M50. Only thing that sold me on this is that I heard that Sony cameras were amazing with low light, and I thought that this was the case. Not saying it's not, but the full frames are a little bit better when it comes to the low light. Onto my last camera, which is the one that I use on a consistent day-to-day basis now, is my Sony a7 III. I got this towards the end of 2020. This camera came out in 2018, so it's since it's 2021, it's going to be 3 years old very soon. But I honestly think even in 2021, if you're beginning in full frame, unless you want to buy the A7S series or the A7R series and get the better resolution or the better sensitivity for editing videos, an A7 III is a great hybrid shooter camera. That's the only reason why I haven't gotten an R series or an S series, because I don't strictly just shoot video or I don't strictly just shoot photography. I still do a little bit of everything. Also, as you guys can see on here, I have the Mikey battery grip on here. So a lot of my videos I will shoot in landscape, just the way they're shot in movies and whatnot. But for certain Instagram clientele I have, a lot of my videos will be shot in this portrait mode using the battery grip. It comes with the customizable buttons, the same ones that are on the top. On here is just in portrait mode instead. Plus, whenever I do shoot anything handheld, having this battery grip on here makes it a lot easier to shoot some handheld stuff, because the a7 III has IBIS. But with this little bit of extra weight, it makes that smoother handheld. But enough with that. Let's go ahead and talk about my camera accessories. So I actually have a lot of accessories for the camera outside of the gimbal. Um, but we'll just go ahead and dive in with my first two important ones, which is light and sound. So for light, we're going to talk about the Litu Photo panel RGB light. I have two of these. The second one's actually being used to light my background right now. I don't think it's at full 100% right now. I think it's actually a little bit lower than 100%. But even then, it's literally right behind me. It's small just like this, and it does a great job. It has multiple functions on it. So I have the regular RGB spectrum. It can do cool and warm photos, just like your regular softbox light or regular lights that you have on you, on top of a whole bunch of different modes where you can go from fade to strobe to different random effects. For 50 bucks, I was worried that it was going to be a little too cheap just because other bigger brands start off at 100 to 150 for their lights of the same size. Definitely a good beginner's light if you want. And I would just say too, all this stuff that I'm talking about will be linked down below in the description. So don't worry about like, oh, let me see if I can go find this. It's already linked down below for you guys. Go check it out. If you guys want to get it, cop the gear. Just wanted to add that. Also, if you're still watching and you're this far into the video, if this is your first time seeing any of my videos, please go ahead, like, subscribe. You're already watching it this far in, so you must be interested in some way, shape, or form. I greatly appreciate it. It helps out the channel, helps me out. Just a young YouTuber trying to get out there, you know? I appreciate it. So let's go ahead and move on to the next set of gear. Like I said, lights and then sound. This is the Rode Video Micro. So this is the cheapest, I believe it's the cheapest microphone that Rode currently sells. You can find it on Amazon, you can find it. I think honestly you can find it almost any Best Buy will have this one in there. Unless they're sold out, then that sucks. But this is super simple. It has a headphone jack on the mic and then you plug it into your camera and that's actually how it's powered. You don't have to worry about no batteries. It comes with a dead cat as you guys can see. So if you're out in that windy environment, which if you're shooting a movie, if you're shooting a talking scene, whatever it may be, it will still capture great audio. Moving forward, this is the K&F Concept Variable ND filter. So I'll just take it out for you guys to see. If you guys don't know, NDs are pretty much sunglasses for cameras, or for lenses, I should say. They are amazing. I would just say this, if you're shooting outside and you don't have an ND filter on, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna either lower your aperture, so you're gonna be shooting at like f15, or you're gonna crank your shutter speed up super high, and you always wanna have your ISO down low anyways, but you're gonna have to do one of those other two things to compensate and have the perfect exposure triangle. I'm not gonna even go into the full exposure triangle. There are plenty of videos to show and talk about that if you guys are interested in. I'll link some up there for you guys to check out. But if you don't have a variable ND filter, I recommend it. K&F Concept, actually, that ND filter has done me wonders. It's definitely worth it. Speaking of lenses, I completely just went over my lenses without even talking about them. So we're gonna backtrack a little bit to my lenses. My first lens I had is the Sigma 30mm f1.4. I got this as my first lens outside of the kit lens that came with my A6100. Along with the A6100, that kit lens is, or not the kit lens, but that Sigma lens has definitely done a lot for me. The f1.4 and being able to shoot in low light or get that smooth, creamy bokeh, that background, just that blurry background that you guys see in a lot of professional photos. It's just so it's so sharp. It's really nice. I'll just leave it at that. If you're starting out and you get an APS-C camera, definitely get a Sigma 16 or 30mm lens. I'm just putting that out there. It's definitely worth it. Moving on to my other lens that I have as well. This is the Sony 28 to 70mm. Yes, I had to look at it because I always get the actual focal length messed up. So it's a 28 to 70mm. This is the kit lens that came with the Sony a7 III. I recommend go ahead and buying a new lens. I use this lens still because lenses are expensive. Definitely good lens. Besides one. moving on to my next thing. This is a monitor. This is the Andy Cine 4K monitor. This thing has been a beast when it comes to doing any handheld or tripod work. So, like I said, well, that basically explains it. Any handheld or tripod work I can keep my focus. I can see my focus. It even has, I'll show you, bam, an SD card slot. So I can upload LUTs on there and I can actually see how the LUTs look on the monitor as long as my exposure settings and all that are set up right. It's definitely worth the investment, especially if you're shooting in manual focus. I've shot some things in manual focus handheld, and so being able to actually use the monitor to see and make sure that my focus is right on, it just, as I said, it's all these things have a purpose and it helps. On top of that, actually, to complement the monitor, and speaking of focus, actually, is the Mikey macro adapter, the macro lens adapters. I already talked about this in a previous video, so I'm not going to go too in depth about it again. But I would just say if you are looking to do some product photography or any type of macro photography and you don't want to pay the money for a macro lens, if you have a lens that's, I would say, between 70 and 150 millimeters, get one of the macro adapters, and it's not a macro lens, I should say. Get one of those macro adapters and use it with that. It helps so much. The product photography that I shot and the promo video that you guys saw in a previous video, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It definitely, that was all shot with the macro adapter and my 28-70 millimeter lens. It definitely does the job. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I'm missing? Yes, of course I'm missing things. Joby GorillaPod. When I'm not using my normal tripod that my ZV-1's on, I'll usually bring it on this. And typically, I'll just hand out like that. Boom, boom, boom. Shooting, it makes it so much easier. It helps with the stabilization too. That way it's not just in my hand wobbling while I'm walking as well. And then one of my last things I'll talk about real quick, SSD drives. Get you plenty of these. Yes, they cost, they're worth it. The last thing you need is to have something on your memory card alone and you don't back it up somewhere else and then you lose it. SSD, I promise you, I would rather have too many SSD drives with stuff backed up on them than to not have enough. Just completely throwing it out there. Pretty much every current project I have on here or finished project I have on here, I have on this one as well. This is the Seagate 2 terabyte SSD. This was my first one I ever got because I got tired of always deleting old footage or formatting my memory card because my laptop's storage space would get too full. I got tired of doing that, so I eventually finally got me a storage drive or SSD drive, and I've used all of that, so now I've upgraded and got me a 5 terabyte. Hopefully I don't blow through this as fast, but it's definitely worth it. And last but not least, the last thing on my list, just because I want to talk about it, because I just got it, it's brand new, is the Neewer tripod. So, I actually have a tripod that I got when I first got the camera and first got started, and I didn't realize that I needed a fluid head tripod. So that's where this Neewer fluid head tripod came in clutch. I still use this tripod, obviously, as you can see, it's getting recorded and being used on. But get you a fluid head tripod. This makes a big difference when you're doing your pans, your tilts, all that, versus the tripod that's currently being used is more of a photography tripod, meant to be still, not meant for me to do pans and tilts. It's a lot more resistance on there compared to doing this. It's just smooth. So, with that being said, guys, that's, had to do a double check. With that being said, guys, that's everything that I have in my camera bag. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please, like I said, if you got to this part of the video, for sure, like, subscribe, comment down below if you have any questions. If there's something that you think I should have in my camera bag, let me know. Tell me what's in your camera bag. I'm curious. Let's be friends. I know it's crazy. Yeah, let's just be, we live in a digital age. Let's be friends. Comment down below, like, subscribe, help a brother out. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and I'll see you later. Peace.